Brandon, Elvis, hey, congratulations on your new film, Mr. Crocket.
Thank you,
Thank
Gabe.
you so much, Gig. Appreciate you.
Thank you for speaking to us. And I love this short film since it was on Huluween, on Hulu. But Brandon, let's hear it from you first. Is where the original idea came from for Mr. Crocket?
Came from my oldest son. He's obsessed with this character called Blippi on YouTube, and I basically like lost him anytime Blippi was on screen, and that was real scary for me because he learned a lot from Blippi, but then I felt like am I even like influencing his life anymore, or is it this character? And so the fact that some medium could do that to a child, it's almost like they're taking it from you, especially for like just that moment. And so I'm like, what if there was an actual character who did that? Not only did that, but lashed out on parents. And obviously some influences from Freddy Krueger. And so I just thought of Mr. Crockett.
Well said. It'll be such a nightmare if Mr. Rogers ever lashed out to children. But Elvis, Elvis, tell us what initially drew you that you wanted to be part of this project.
What initially drew me as an actor was the levels of Mr. Crockett and this world, the imagination, the ability to be able to have a fresh canvas and to be able to just paint and draw and do amazing, colorful, abstract, just being able to know that here's a canvas, there's nothing on it, and I've been given the freedom to just make a piece of work with this character, with this world, and just having fun. I think just being able to come into something where I was just having so much fun filming it. And I think that what solidified, everything is just being able to have a conversation with Brandon and really feel like here's someone who is going to be very supportive, but is also going to be very open-minded and together we're going to create and we're gonna have some fun doing this. So I was attracted to the character and the world from the beginning.
Absolutely. It does look like a lot of fun. Brandon, tell us the concept of Mr. Crockett because not only he's teaching little children, it seems like it's much more teaching adults certain lessons. I mean, as a villain, he realizes he's not really a villain in his head.
Yeah, yeah. No, he really did. Like, he teaches parents to not take their kids for granted, because like, yeah, especially when they're so young and they're innocent, mistakes may happen. And if sometimes parents lash out on kids, sometimes yeah, kids really drive parents insane, but just remember at the end of the day, they are young, innocent people. And so I think that's a big thing that the parents get to realize, especially when they're taken away, because then, that you may miss that yelling and that annoying uh stuff that they used to do around the house because they're not there anymore.
Elvis, tell us about getting into the mindset of Mr. Crockett because you're terrifying. I would hate to see you in my living room.
Yeah, getting into the psychic of Mr. Crockett for me was being able to do a little backstory and do some history on the character and asking myself if this is where he's at right now in present time, and this is what he's doing, where did that come from? How did we get here? So for me, being able to delve into that mindset was being able to go back and do some character history and create some of that history for myself as an actor to be able to show up on the set and be as believable and as truthful and being able to give myself the permission to immerse myself into this world and being able to say there is justification for his behavior. There is justification for his laughter. There is justification for him to care about these kids. And there is a major justification for punishing these very bad parents.
So true, so true. Brandon, you as a director utilize everything from puppetry to animation. I mean, I always like to ask, anyone who does a horror project, the debate between practical versus CGI, and you did it all in this in this film.
Yeah.
Tell us about your experiences of using everything into one film.
Well, with me, this is my first time using a lot of those elements. And so I think that was a fun thing. And I say shout outs to Masters Effects, who created the puppets, Alex Party, who designed it, and just like the team I had, Jenny and Metal Mike and others, because it was a really heavy collaborative effort. I've always had, I'm a big Tim Burton fan, big Beetlejuice fan. I always want to see like these creatures come to life. And I'm always, especially with like fan of like horror in that era, like practical effects was everything. So I think I had to have that, and it may be adjusted a little bit within CGI and post. But I really wanted to see everything when it came to the madness that Crockett had, and like the animation in general. Like I always had this opening of a kids show in mind, and I'm like, okay, how else can I infuse that within the narrative? And so I was thankful to be able to kind of like weave it in to the story as well. In a certain part of Miss Crockett, which I won't mention, but I'd say like a lot of those things were it was overwhelming at times, big learning experience, but it was truly fulfilling, and I feel like I walked away with a lot more knowledge of the process of each of those facets.
Absolutely. Elvis, I'm going to throw the last question to you. Do you miss that mustache?
Uh, I do, I do. That mustache took a lot of work to make sure it was the right size and that it fit, the face. But yeah, I do, and I can't wait to put it back on again.
Who knows? Because one of the things that we loved about Mr. Crockett, it is an urban horror story, and we need, those more of those urban horror stories like, Candyman out there because, not every horror story should be like in a lone house in the countryside or something like that, right? So hopefully Mr. Crockett returns. So, gentlemen, thank you very much for speaking to us about Mr. Crockett. It is a truly a terrifying film. So thank you very much.
Thank you,
Appreciate
Gabe.
it,
Thank you. I love your backdrop, man. You adding a little creepy element to that shadow. I keep looking at that shadow. I'm like, what's gonna come?
Gig.
Who knows? Thank you very much.
All
All
right,
right,
thank
man.
you.